Well, this is still a very good, important topic. I don't have no idea why it didn't, um, elicit a little bit more response. But mindset in general, unlike what I believe that is probably the biggest hang up for everybody's results, it's always um, less. It's always less of an interest for people for some weird reason. And we put out a post about working out, you're gonna have 100 people engaging. You put out something about dieting, you're probably going to have 80. And then you put out something about mindset, and you're going to have 10. And usually those are the 10 that you see here all the time, most of the time. Davida, Astrid, Lamis, Claudia, and you name it, it's been a constant. And those are usually also the one that I don't want to say get more results, but get consistent results. So, and Marcela, which is also coming right now. So that's great. Okay, I'm gonna do a bit of a master class today. I will, even though it's a small group, it'd be nice if at the end you guys share, some of the fears that you have that you need or want to work on if you want to work on it. Because this is not the first time I do this talk, yet if it's gonna be very different than the first time. Like nobody was even in this group was around for the first time. That was in 2016, I believe, or 17. But still, if you want to see that talk, just let me know when you see the replay. Comment inside the group. It's gonna go out as a replay as well, because you might want to hear the first one as well, because it's gonna be a lot more storytelling in terms of my experience. Because as far as fear, I always like to really talking about like talk about what happens to me personally. And this is just I feel like, you know, it's almost been like maybe like 7 years, and I did experience a lot more things, and I feel like it's worth of a shot. But before we start, I want to give you some perspective today because I just was, as always, were exposed to so many things online. And one of the things that I was exposed last week randomly on YouTube, it was a ad from one of my personal past favorite, meaning like I haven't seen a lot of him lately, but he's a very good marketer, Billy Jean, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but like he's a very good marketer, and he used an analogy that I said this is quite remarkable, and it's important that you get that part because, and I did draw this out. This is a timeline, and it's not meant to be good, but I was gonna draw it out really nice. But the problem is that I could not cancel, which is what basically I want to do today. And what is that? And again, like I'm using it almost like a sketch, but it's kind of like it was really interesting to me. It's like this represents when you're born, 1 years old. This represents 50 years old, and this represents 100 years, right? And I thought it was really brilliant because in the time you're watching this, chances are you probably are 40 years old, and this is not supposed to happen right now. This is why I don't like it. But basically, that part is already canceled, right? We're talking about no idea why. I was thinking like you could just leave part of it, right? So you cancel 40 years old, you're already using this part of life, right? Most people wouldn't live to 100 years old. They only live to 80, right? So you cancel this out as well. You have to pretend now it's canceled. In fact, let's cancel it. No, it's gonna cancel the whole thing. But what you really left with is from 40 years old, probably to 80 years old, right? You have to imagine a timeline here. And you really left only with a good 30, 40, 50 year. Hopefully you can live to 120 as far as as far as I hope for you. But most people will live this much because this is gone. Let's be fair. Maybe if we're lucky to live over here, maybe you don't remember who you are. And you live here doing something you don't like, a job you don't like, and living in a relationship you don't like at times, being in a place in life you don't like. And most of the time it's because you're fearful of something, because you really believe what stories are like fears. Fear it means like we had wanted to show you something about um, Dan Pena, and he said it all the time. It's like, what if you're not afraid of anything, right? It's like fear are simply is an acronym. It's like false expectation appearing real. And today I wanted to talk about what is fear to me, how it's manufactured, the physiology of fear, the psychology of fear, because fear we know that it can be fear of stepping out of your comfort zone, stuff like very abstract. Then there are fears, like real fear, like fear of heights, fear of spiders, fear of dogs, fear of like, and again, those things at times are enough for you not allowing you to live life as you should, right? And one of the things that I wanted to briefly talk about is the as I talked in the first call that I did like years ago, it's really we know we have fear. Sometimes they develop somehow, right? Like I was used to be never be scared of flying, and then at some point I was like, it doesn't really feel good to take the plane all the time. But not because I saw planes falling down or I heard about it. It's just like something that you manufacture. I remember one of the thing I did is like I just booked three or four flights, one after another. And when I used to, I think when I went to Australia or something, like I just did that. Why don't I just go to, two different places in Australia? I'm taking a couple of planes in a row, and like you experience that fear in the moment, and it's like you understand that this is manufacturing of like it's manufacturing something out of thin air, really, right? And again, I'm not here saying like you are not justified, but sometimes we don't ask ourselves why are those fears are there, and we don't ask ourselves what can we do to actually fix it, what are we gonna do, out of like what should we be doing to improve the situation. In the first call, I remember talking about one thing that we experienced when I went into a cruise um, in Santorini, Greece. If you ever been there, like you know that there is like you have to go up. It's like a small little island that you go up and down, right? And going up, of course, there is a few ways to go up. There is like a cable cart, right? There is a you can actually walk up there, right? And the third thing is you can go on top of a donkey because on this trail that you walk on, there is donkeys. And funny enough, because like when it was we got there and it was August, mid of August, so it's really, really hot. That trail it was full with crap because obviously those animals just that's what they produce up and down. And my girlfriend at the time, ex-girlfriend, I remember she said, "Why don't we just take the cable cart?" And I was like, I'm scared of heights. I don't like heights still to this day. And what happened was that I said to her, "We just walk. Let's walk up. We just need movement anyway." And of course, as you walk up, there are all these animals in between. There are like big horses, like donkey, but they're big donkeys. Like and like she said, aside from the crap on the floor that she was getting, like I was seeing her madness going off all the time by the half because she was like, why are you making me do that?" And I remember saying to her, uh, we shouldn't really book any, it's a cruise, so you have maybe like 6 hours on the plane, and we wanted to do the whole island. And I said we shouldn't really book a car because you know how they are in Greece, they drive like crazy as well. There is like they come out of it, and it's like we're gonna risk something here, like if we eat somebody. At the time I went up, I'm like, when I got to the top, I'm like, okay, it's better that I don't say to her anything more, and I just get the car because like she was like totally livid. She was like totally mad. And then she told me, it's like, by the way, you know that we risk a lot more doing this right now because like those donkeys were stressed. They were like they were pretty big, so you as close as you get, they could like kick you or something, right? It was slippery, so like you could have. I literally saw a person slipping and hurting themselves. So the only way, I don't know if they broke something um, I don't know if they broke, the knee or something, but they couldn't walk anymore when they slipped down in front of us. And the only way to go down from that point, it was on top of a donkey. I'm telling you, if you're scared of heights, you don't want to go on top of a donkey on a trail that is like this. It's literally like that. I don't know if you guys been there before. So then uh, I got on top. We did our day, and obviously on top we had to come down at the end because we had to bring back the car. Just watching down, it was like that's really crazy to watch down. So if you have to walk down, it will still be the same thing. And I said, okay, let's take the cable car. And I remember for the first 2 minutes, you're so like you get all this stress response on the body, which is real. And then like you almost like it goes out of you, right? And again, this is gonna we're gonna talk about this again later because I wanna give, in my opinion, a framework to overcome fear. At least what for me, what psychology says, or at least part of it. I have a very good friend of mine. She's a psychologist, and told me this framework is like this is what you should do if you want to overcome fear. And before we go there, there was also something on the first call that I talk about, and I can share with you the link if you want. Is a tech talk of a lady that's basically, I don't know if it was the writer of the book or she wrote the book. And full disclosure, I really don't know like how they get these people on the tech talk because like nothing against this lady, but it's like you hear that for 10 minutes. It's like always the way they speak. It's the same cadence. There is no communication. It's like, and it's crazy how, there is all these people watching and hearing, but like if you actually want to hear it, it's pretty good information. So just, type on here or on the replay. I'll send you over the, whatever the case is. But anyway, she was saying that fear is basically manufactured from the way that you, how can I say it? From whatever is more vivid to you. It's like a story. It's like they have plots, they have character and all that. And there was this story about Moby Dick, of the Essex ship, and there was a whole story. And obviously back in the days, there was these people going through the Americas from England and all that, and it was very long roads. They didn't have like planes like now, so you just had to be on the sea. And then it was like there was a way to get to US or wanted to discover US, I guess. Or the tale was something of that nature. I didn't really prepare myself very well for this time because I really didn't want to make about that tale. But there was two ways to go. One is to cross an island, which supposedly has cannibal on top of it. The other one was to go a little much longer route, but risk of starving to death because they only have so much on the ship that they could carry for them to be safe. Guess what they did? They was more fearful of cannibalism because you could vividly imagine that. Like you can imagine a cannibal, like you can imagine human flesh being roasted on some places, and like you are scared of cannibals or whatever. They went on the other side, longer route, and obviously they starved to death, most of them, which is more logical if you think about it. That was more logical. It's like, what is the likelihood of cannibal existing back in the day, and how were they sure that they were gonna cross cannibal? Remember, it was a story they heard, a false expectation, but it appeared so much real to them. So they said, okay, I don't want to do that. That would suck if we die from cannibals. It's gonna be much more painful. So they thought. So they went on the other side and they starved to death. When a whole ship crossed over, half of the people were dead. Some people that were alive resorted to cannibalism themselves. They became what they were fearful of. Right? So like if we're thinking about about my story in Greece, and I remember my ex-girlfriend said, "Oh, like look at that article, a few weeks removed from us being there. Somebody got actually kicked from one of these things. They got a kick from that. So it's like, isn't that crazy? Like the fear I could not picture so much of. It was much more dangerous than the one that like going up and down from a cable car, which of course on the moment you experience more of, but it's not really what you should be scared of, right? And that should make you think a little bit. And another thing you have to think on fear is like how, what is the psychology of fear, or how is it manufactured, right? I used to live in Florida, like not so long ago, a year and a half ago, and every single week, every single year in Miami, you have hurricanes coming over. And unlike when I used to live in California, which is earthquake, which are not you're not really prepared for. The other one you can prepare. But at times when you prepare, it's worse because you're like, okay, I'm gonna prepare myself, but then like every single day you get closer and closer. You imagine what's gonna happen to you. Only for one time we had one that was supposed to hit very hard, and he didn't. He just went on the other side, or he came and he was like, I remember memes on Instagram. I think it was Hurricane Matthew, which whatever it was structured, it used to be like a look like a skull. It looked like something like a skull. It's like look at that, it's like a monster. And then like when it got closer and closer, and then they used to make it a meme on Instagram. Very funny that it's like they put a chair on the floor. And it's like this is all he did, and it was more or less like that. Honestly, we got from the side, from the beach, to go on the inner part of the because you knew what I was gonna eat. But that's like how you manufacture fear, right? So obviously we talk about how you manufacture fear. We talk about the problems about that. We ask ourselves why these things happen. Like how do we picture? How do we make it up? How do we create our fears? Well, how do we create it? That times because something you experience. Like I'm scared or I don't like particularly dog. I'm always been a cat person. Um, now again, I got exposed to three little dogs, um, from a friend of mine, and like you, as you experience it, as going forward, you see them like very often like that. You realize that everything is okay. So yeah, like you're experiencing your fear. You are like that cable car that time you experience them on the moment. So I came up that it's really, really only, and again, that's not only that's rooted on science because like this is basically how a psychologist would wanna at least part of some way of psychology would wanna you to experience fear and overcome fear. I feel like this is actually working for me as well. And this is the following, the framework that I thought I come up with. But before we go there, I wanted to um, say to somebody because again, it's like if you let your fear overcome you and like not and you don't do things because you're fearful of something, whether it's a very abstract, like you're in a toxic relationship, you're fearful of leaving the person because you say, oh, then I'm gonna be alone, not realizing that being in that thing in the first place is kind of worse, right? But let's pretend you don't realize that. So that type of fear, or fear of dogs, which is not gonna allow you to maybe be with somebody or date somebody with dogs, or like your fear of heights or fear of flying that doesn't allow you to see the world like you should, because obviously there is only a number of places you can go without a plane at the moment. Then you really should think about this like it's worth a shot to overcome it. But then when it's too much, meaning like when it's really not worth it. Well, I just saw before I was on my Instagram again using a lot of examples today about that. A crazy roller coaster, like, people were not just going up and down, but they were twisting and all going up and down. It's like there was a question, it's like, would you do it? And for me, I never liked those things. I tried a few times, but honestly, if I did it, I know I'll throw up. I'll straight up vomit. That happens all the time. Like I did a few times and it happens to me all the time. So in my opinion, that for me, that borderline stupid to do. It's like it's a fear, but it's not like a fear that is going to be productive towards it. So you should choose your fear. Like what are you doing and when? Because I guess some of these things would help you versus some of the things are just going to take away valuable time and something like that. But how can we say, how is the, if we can make a framework about it? Well, fear is manufactured this way. I'm going to try to go back here and then I'm going to share real quick. I'm going to try to write it at this point. Um, okay, so there is always, and this is how fear works. And usually that's like that. You're going to have to excuse my poor drawing skills today, but we're going to do it like right on the moment. So the fear is like there is a bottom Then for some whatever reasons it goes up. There is some up, right? And it keep rising and rising and rising, and then there is a peak. There is a peak. And if you don't face your fear and if you don't come out to the fear, you're never gonna go down here, which is the coming down of it. And then by the way, it's still gonna go up next time. It's not like you do it once, but this is the peak. You wanna be overcoming the peak. And how do you overcome that? It's like you need to experience it. You need to be in that cable cart. You need to be in that plane. You need to be in front of that dog, holding a dog on your lap for long enough that it takes for the stress response that you have to get out of your body. And it's not one time only, it's all the time. Yeah. You might have seen this. I'm going to show you something else right now. Like this is something that is it's so cool. Like when you go on Google, because like you find everything, but you also find then the same version of things, right? It's like these things you saw it so many times. It is not by chance. Okay. It's just like exactly what it is. You have a comfort zone, and fear can be fear of spiders, or it can also be fear of approaching people, applying to a job, whatever, right? Like the fear zone is here, lack of confidence, find excuse. You're not gonna do it basically. Then there is the learning zone, and then there is the growth zone. From here to the growth zone, you see there is another layer, at least one. And when you are learning the first time, you basically go from here to here, but then your human instincts make you want to go back to your comfort zone. Many good things happen in the comfort zone, but also many you live your life very blah, very maybe in a boring way. Unless your comfort zone, you were born like I don't know, a millionaire with perfect relationship, perfect job. In that's your comfort zone. If not, you already know the comfort zone is not enough, right? And that's a good point. Yes, developing yourself. That is the goal. So basically, coming back, you need to be able to experience this thing. You need to stay on the peak of the thing. You need to stay on this peak for long that it takes, and then you need to repeat and rinse and repeat. Ladies, this is, for whatever I can experience, the best way to overcome a fear, whether it's a fear of approaching somebody, whether it's a fear of applying to a job, whether it's a fear of speak up to a job. You're scared of getting fired. There is only two ways you can live your life. You're either gonna get fired and you're gonna accept, and you're not gonna accept anything anymore, or you're gonna stay on the job you don't like with a fear of speaking. But if you spoke, maybe two things are happening. Maybe they develop some respect for you, or maybe indeed they fire you. They're not gonna fire you anyway, or you're gonna live miserable. If you're scared of spiders, again, I was bit from a spider in the when I was a kid, when I was really young. So you develop that like every time I see a spider, I don't like the spider. But now it's like it's part of whatever. Like if you live out, sometimes you live alone and there and like you have spiders to take. Well, what are you gonna do? You're gonna leave them there? That's the way to do that. I didn't like dogs at all. Like now I'm developing. I don't want to say something that I do like, but it's more so like I'm really understanding that there is nothing wrong on that. Next time I see a height, who knows? Maybe I'll just go myself and actually see this as an expectation again, appearing false expectation appearing real. Because remember, like you as whenever you fear something, you're gonna really feel that thing going up. It's stress that goes up. It's a stress response. It's a stressor that is present, giving you a stress response, which is gonna come make you very uncomfortable. Heart rate's gonna go up. You're gonna sweat. You might even be anxious. You're gonna have a panic attack, whatever. Which again, my advice doesn't replace your therapist. Okay, let's make this clear. If you have panic attack, trauma, whatever, I'm not saying like do this and then I mean everything you hear, as always, in our world, like nutrition, whatever, you have to take it with is your own objective to take it. That's why there is no one deep-rooted diet that you need to follow. There is a lot of advice, there is a lot of guidance, there is a lot of things, but it's your choice to do it. I can tell you that what I exposed you today is a real framework for overcoming fear, and I tried it and it works. So it worked for me. So if you wish to try uh, with something you're scared of, you let me know how it works. And again, it's a pity that it's not more people coming through this call. If you see a replay, be more than happy to, comment below. What is your fear? What do you think? Because that's something that you're gonna probably have a lot of people experiencing the same thing. With this being said, let me see what if I hopefully I didn't forget anything because indeed it was a lot of things material covered. I'll be honest with you, it's not my most prepared talk. We had a lot of them like I done it twice, but it's never been a topic which I really specifically have a talk for. It's more so it's a share of experience. I think that's important. But with this being said, I'd like to open up and create a masterclass part of this and see if you guys have any fear that you want to share how you overcome or any fear that you would like to overcome. Or of course, as well, this is a Q&A call as well. For any of you find yourself inside in the program in which at or in which stage you find, we can also talk about that. Please be gutsy. That's one thing as well. When you're talking about fear, fear is not only about fear of fire or heights. It's about fear in general. Sometimes fear of talking, fear of being vulnerable, fear of that. It'd be nice from hearing from you if you have anything that you want to overcome or you did overcome and you can share with somebody the experience. I don't know if you want to start, but be more than happy to unmute yourself and to share. Anybody?
I can share.
Good. Davida, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm not going to turn on my camera because I'm out walking and it's snowing.
Wow, that's
Uh,
nice.
yeah, so I
That
don't
sound
want
like
to.
that sound like a thing of you somebody want to see, but I get it. Maybe it's
I can
hard for
show
you
you a
to.
small film of it, but I don't want the phone to get wet.
No, I
But
understand. Like you don't want to get all wet. Yeah.
uh, I I I actually overcome one fear that I had, and it was leaving my relationship of 20 years. Um, and I've been alone now for something like 2 years. No, maybe 1 year. Maybe 1 year. Yeah. And divorce got finalized this fall, and I was scared because you end up alone. Um, you have the whole financial burden and can't share with anyone. So it was scary, but it's actually quite nice now. I don't have to pay any respect to anyone else. I can just do what I want within
Mhm.
its limits, of course. Um, so yeah, I was quite afraid for it for many years, uh, but it just reached a point where it just couldn't continue. So maybe it was not really overcoming it now that I say it out loud, more than
Mhm.
just a necessity. And now I wonder why I didn't do it sooner.
Mhm.
But yeah,
What
that's
was the
one.
biggest fear or like what like I by the way that's like huge, like that's some more an abstract fear, but in one way it's like it's
Yeah,
huge what because it's hard to do. It's not like when you're afraid of spiders, like you can actually do it next time you see one. But like this is like there is
yeah,
implication, right? But what was the
yeah.
biggest fear that you had like leaving that relationship?
I think my absolute biggest fear was the financial situation.
Hmm.
Uh, Me and caring for my son, or our son, as it was. or is. Um, just, all of a sudden I'm stuck with all the bills instead of half the bills, and uh, I'm not overly paid, so to say. So yeah, it was a fear that I wouldn't cope, that I wouldn't manage. But yeah, I even managed better without him
Hmm.
financially. So I think that was my absolute biggest fear. Um, uh, when my mom and my dad lived together, we had it very good financially. And then when they got divorced, I saw my mom turning every penny over, making everything last. And I just, I didn't want to end up in that kind of situation. So that was my reference, that's how it's going to be. And I didn't want to end up there, and I haven't yet. Anything can happen, but I'm not going to focus on that. So I think that was the root of it.
Quite good
Um,
that you found your own solution, right? It's like just the fear is a fear, almost like rescue the other fear. Like you said, if I'm not gonna do that, I might end up like my, situation like my parents, right? And so you didn't want to.
yeah,
And that's yeah, again, it's like that's huge. It's like something that um yeah, not everybody will take that step. And some people unlock, like I showed you before, some people
yeah,
will live years of their life, which they don't get back. Um, you don't get back days, let alone years, into
uh,
a situation they don't like. And I said to myself, I no longer want to do it in terms of relationships. And again, um, as much as we were in some things alike, the person I just said before, that we've been together for 6 years, there was so many things that we were different. And again, we stay now in a good relationship as friends. Like we still one of the only people I still talk to that I been with. But again, it's tough because you sometimes the hard things to do are the one thing that are necessary, and it's
yeah,
quite good that you did because I think that also for the sake of your son and so forth. Um, so that's really that's a lesson that you
yeah.
give in here. That's important. Yeah.
But then I also have a fear that I'm struggling to overcome, and it's also a kind of irrational fear, I guess. And that is posting online. Actually, I absolutely hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think it gives me almost an anxiety attack to do it. I've been criticized for my spelling in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and now I've been working on this for several months, and I've opened up to friends about it,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone is really surprised and say that, but it's you we go to when we need help with spelling, and it's like, what? So it's irrational because I know, but you can get very bad comments online because it's no one kind of thing, I guess.
But you're talking about posting on
Yeah.
your own profile, like your own life and so forth,
Anywhere,
anywhere. Mm-hmm.
anywhere. Yeah. So that's why I posted twice actually in our community yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it.
And
That was actually good. For us,
so
it's like it's good. I mean, the only purpose you have for that, if you are in the program, and I was gonna ask you, of course, if you have anything else that you need in terms of since you already opened the mic. If you anything like if you're stalking anywhere, we can use this also this time for that. But when it comes to the posting itself, remember it's not mandatory. It's just like a way for you to stay accountable. And we have
yeah,
there is a real direct correlation between we have here Claudia, right? And now she's doing all the challenges as well. Not only her winning just because like you post more often, but it is also a huge correlation between more data you have, the easier it is to do the work. Remember, like people come to I mean, look for coaches with the hope of finding some sort of stuff they don't have yet learned about. It's rarely that way. It's rare, like We know what we need to do to lose weight. It's doing it that is important, that is difficult. And accountability, which basically create external motivation as for as long as you need for you to get to the point of your results, so that you can internally create the motivation to become this better person that you want to be. uh, it's much easier when you have a support system, right? Now, it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you have to do like very often or something. Like, and I get what you mean. It's like the fear, I guess, of comments or judgment from other people. Maybe that's what you're talking about. Is it? Or
Yeah,
is it?
yeah, but not maybe the contents, but what I'm actually, you know, spelling mistakes and things have really gotten to me as I grew up with undiagnosed dyslexia. It's,
Okay.
you know, so
It's
it's
almost like fear of embarrassment or judgment or something, right?
yeah, yes, I would say.
Yeah. So I want this is my honest opinion. Yeah, so I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. Remember, and I see again, this is something I read. Funnily enough, I read, I think it was from a meme from The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. I'm sure you know the actor I'm talking about. He said, when we had $5 in his pockets because he used to be a pro wrestler and then he became an actor and nobody cared, and now it's 70 million a year. It's not 5 years ago. That means like now it's even more.
Oh,
He said, when I used to have $5 in my pocket, you used to be criticized about everything, right? Uh, People always will criticize you from look from down watching you up or from behind watching in front. People that do better than you, they'll never criticize you because they have better things to do. So the haters that have a that they use judgment for you to feel for to kind of like fill up their day. Honestly, you should not be thinking about it. You know how many times I got told, "Oh, your spelling mistake," which I still make, and I said, funny because you always download my stuff anyway. So are you here to give me a lesson of English, or are you here to fix your life when it comes to transformation of your body and metabolism? Because I can I cannot teach you English, probably not, but I'm also coming from, I don't know, 2 degrees. So how many degree do you have? How many language do you speak? Because again, like you see this all the time. People only just when they have nothing better to do. I literally see on my ass the comments like, "Oh, you're looking for 6 people? Okay, why is that? I mean, why?" Or they say, "Oh, I'm doing really really good." Okay, what the fuck are you commenting then? Just be good. Or be careful,
oh,
lady of this type. Be careful. It's like, oh, because they need your opinion, the people that they cannot they don't know what to judge, right? It's like, and those are usually like the 5%, the 10%. And like, Davida, you have to honestly, you shouldn't care about it, honestly. Because whoever is commenting you like that, probably not a very good support system to have around, even if you know them. And if they're haters,
yeah,
it might make you feel in a certain way. But remember, come on, like spelling mistakes. I mean, ask them
yeah,
what is their background, how many universities they have, what are they doing in their lives that is so amazing, right? Because I'm telling you, always from the back to the front. Nobody that is doing better than you will have 5 minutes or a ounce of time to just bash you for no reason. That's
no,
my personal opinion.
and I agree
Yeah.
absolutely. It's just sometimes fear is irrational, like I know these things back in my head. Of course I know. But then and there, the fear kind of takes over and all rationality just
Disappear. Yeah.
vaporizes. Yeah. So,
Are you
but it's good
do you
to
want
hear it again and again.
do you want to overcome it though?
I do because I feel like I want to participate more, you know?
Okay, so
Um,
I mean,
so,
the,
but
the, the program is one way to do it, but let me give you what the task if you really want to overcome.
yeah,
Okay, 2 posts a day inside a group of anything, or even asking questions, include also engaging with somebody else. You can just don't have to post yourself. And about 2 or 3 posts in your personal profile, maybe one video, maybe one something like, again, not because you want to get some reaction from it, but just because you want to see that everything is going to be normal. Like
Yeah.
if you told me I want to find a job, we did it in the past. Lamis was very vocal about it. Like she's like, "Oh, the biggest thing you did is like helping me help me find a job." It's like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything. I just told you what the steps are if you want to find one. It's like you're supposed to, because her problem was the language is in another country. And I said, you're supposed to go out and talk. 10 resumes online, right? Go out
Mm.
and talk at least to 10 restaurants that you can work on into your neighborhood, walking around. And then she made a video. She was excited. It's like, and I said, I envy you so much. You live in Poland in this, I don't know if it's where exactly she lives, but in this place with all so many restaurants, so many life. And it's like, don't you see the energy? Like, but it's uncomfortable because like it's something you need to do. When you drop
Yeah.
your resume, it's gonna be uncomfortable. But like remember the peak. You need to go up in the fear and you need to peak and you need to go from the when you're in the peak, you're gonna be very stressed. And at some point you're gonna be like, oh my God, that's normal. When I was single, I was very timid, I was very shy. And I made it up whenever I went out, I had to stop like talk to 10 girls, try to get like 5 phone numbers. Not because I wanted to like have 1,000 girls, just because I needed at that point when I was single in the past. Two, I wanted to that fear of anxiety of approaching somebody. The only way to overcome it, you need to experience it. The same thing with posting. I'm telling you, this is much easier than if you have to do it in person. I can tell you this
Yeah.
much. So I'd
Yes,
say
definitely.
the more the merrier. I mean, like start with 2 a days and then two maybe in your profile that's like 4 a day, and that should indeed show you because you're gonna have some reaction, you're gonna have some people laughing, and it's like honestly, I might not be the best example. Whenever I see people make stupid comment and block them, it's like one thing you can do on Facebook, you can actually block people, and it's like seriously, it's like
Yeah.
if you're there only to comment negative stuff and to put out that perception, hey, by the way, you just try to sell people. No, it's like I'm trying to help you. Yes, I should get compensated if I change your life. Don't you agree? But if you're here making people feel like what we do is wrong, you're not a good prospect for me. You're not a good support system. You're not a good person to be around. And let's say the truth. What the fuck the truth is? Like you're not even good for them because like you just say to them, it's like, oh, by the way, this guy is a scam. It's like,
Mm.
really, seriously, you know that for a fact, because if you knew that for a fact, I probably wouldn't talk to you right now. I would not have a business, right? And so you have
Mm.
a perception of something, right? But those people, that's the only thing about Facebook. I don't understand how they don't block people making this kind of comments because I know they do that with everybody. It's not just, they don't dislike you as a, like, they probably do that with everybody. And get ads accounts shut down left and right. We put up a post about a clear problem about cortisol and belly fat, and let's say they flag the post maybe for belly fat, but then you get a bunch of girls being naked there, which is like, what the
Yeah.
hell? How don't you see that as an
Yeah.
algorithm, right? A multi-billion-dollar company, and you don't see that still. But those people that you can control, I mean, that's what I do. I block them. It's like, honestly, it's like, you're not serving me any good. But you'll see another thing happen to you, David. It's like, you're going to have a lot of positive comments as well.
Yeah.
If you see
Yeah.
maybe with you and your boy, you just make a video about eating ice cream, you'll see a lot of positive comments. Whenever I share something now deeply personal, like the way I see things myself, and I put a picture of me, you get always, those are the posts that goes better. It's like, I don't even like do that for getting any engagement, but it's the one that get most engagement. And it's like that's the one thing they do very well, Facebook, because it's a platform for engagement. And therefore it's like
Mm.
they really want to show your thing more when you're vulnerable, when you share your life. And so not that you have to do for any particular reasons, because let's be honest, like it's not gonna give you much more of anything, like even if you just post on social media. But if you wanna say to yourself, I'm improving something, I'm growing, I wanna be more outgoing. I want to be less introverted. Not that it's a bad thing, but that's going to help you a lot. And you'll see a lot of learning from that part. I'm positive
Mm.
because like every time it's just about trying and doing more. But I hope this was a good tip because I used to be the same, by the way. Now I have to post because I work. But I used to be like, I didn't particularly like to do that part. But now I see that it's helping people when I post. So then, I mean, why not?
Yes.
But thanks for that. Anybody else want to share? We have a few more people, and there is a new lady here as well. So if you guys want to open up the mic, you can share. If not, I'm gonna get some food. But please do. We're still here for us for anything else.
May
Anybody?
I, Jerry?
Claudia? Yes, that's it. Yeah, of course.
Well, I recognize what Davida said about it's also about chances, but for me, it's just recognizing when I have fear. It takes time. It really takes time for me because it's always in the end for me it's self-destructive because the fear is self-destructive in the end. And when I recognize it too late, it's already late. Like you said, you get fired, or you better get going before you get fired. Now I recognize it earlier, but still, well, I think I really recognize it too late, because now I changed jobs and I'm really happy now. But I should have done it really earlier, because there's so much weight lifted off my shoulders, and that makes it that everything else you want, you won't get there where you want to be, because everything the fear blocks everything. So for me, I have to learn to recognize it earlier, and that's really hard, because your behavior is also you, like you said, you learn it from experience. Also, when you grow up, you learn from your parents. My parents are really you should keep your job, you should your finances, everything. So you think 30 times before you take one step. But for me, I have to go through the challenge and change things earlier than I do now. So that's my learning point in life, that I learned to recognize and also be happy. So to recognize when I'm not happy anymore, to change things. And that's what I'm still learning. But also I learned I decided in December to just change job and just do it and see where it goes. And now I changed job in a month, and well, it's I should have done it much way earlier than I did now. So yeah, that's my fear, that that I'm too late sometimes. And it's eating me up. It's destructing me myself. And that costs so much energy, and it takes over your life. So that's my learning point, and I'm trying. So and with your help and Marike's, of course, you recognize it earlier, but you have to do it yourself. It's your own learning experience. And what Davida said, I divorced also, so I recognize what Davida said, the fear of being alone and coping with your finance, everything. But well, for me, it's less the fear there, because I know I can cope there, because I have a great job, but it's the fear of loneliness and coping on your own. How can you feel the time being alone? That was my fear.
It's very good share as well. You both are describing some kind of like want to make a so just by hearing you, I got almost to the point to say, yeah, what is being described here are our fear of being very abstract, right?
Yeah.
Per se, more than just a fear of dogs or heights or spiders. Not that one is better than another, but I
No.
almost like feel like one is like you can tackle it way differently because what you just said, fear of being alone or fear of again, those are the what I was said before. Those are more almost like stories that you create in your brain that you manufactured
Yes.
before even experience it. Even if you were alone in the past, before you were in a relationship, you were actually alone, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
you could find positive things about it. While also you could find negative thing about it. But um, I would say that to overcome or work on this kind of stuff, because it's a work in progress, it's like much like when somebody experiences cravings all the time, like, and then
Yeah.
you mindlessly eat, right? That's a thought, it's a thought process that you don't pay attention to your thinking. It's like you just do things almost like you were in a pilot, it's an autopilot thing, right? It's like you being in an autopilot of the plane and you're just up and you're just gonna let everybody, you know, I would think that's my opinion that what I how I experience those things because like you I was also experiencing similar stuff in a job in a relationship. This is how I operate now. It's like by the time that you are not happy, that's not that well they you don't have to feel like oh then it's gonna become a fear of this. It's like by the time you're not happy, my time in a specific thing is not worth. If you are in a job you don't like, it's not worth when you start becoming a problem. If the more negative outdo the positive, right? If the negative is more than the positive that you're getting
Yeah.
from that job, chances are it's no longer a good thing. Much like in relationships. So
Yeah.
then you say, "Oh, I'm gonna be scared of being alone," but it's like, is it really living well if you're in a relationship you don't really are not happy at all? I mean, probably not, right? So that's what I do. I just get to that point and I'm like, okay, I done this 1,000 times. Waiting more time is not gonna make a difference. This time it's not gonna, it never works. Like what I say, this is also goes for dieting, right? That dieting is not a fear, but it's like if you do 10,000 diets and it don't work, why do you do another one? Probably that's not the solution. Maybe we need something different, right? Uh,
Yes.
and therefore, that's how I operate. This is just a way that I do it. Probably as soon as you see yourself not being happy, probably that's the first time that you will do something about it. But now is also good, very good green flag that now you like your job keeps you happy, right? Until that it
Yeah.
does. I wouldn't think about why did I do it sooner? Yeah, that's always I know that's something that people think tend to do, but it's like enjoy
Yeah.
the moment and like just try to try to see the things. As soon as you see not happy, maybe that's more than going to the fear. Just take the action. So remember, that's going from the comfort zone out. That's what I personally think about that. But thank you for that share. I also remember that you said something about in a check-in, and I said come to the call. Now I don't
Yeah.
remember what it was. What is it? That, like, is there
It's
anything?
about the cravings. I've hot flashes, and at the moment I have hot flashes, and I'm not feeling. I'm tired. Also, then it's really hard to keep the cravings. Yeah, in check.
Mm,
Um, and I'm trying to eat things that are really healthy, but I
mhm,
really like them, like chocolate mousse, the protein types. But um, well, sometimes it's really hard and really bad, and yeah, I don't know to distract myself at that moment.
mm. Let me just uh, go into real quick to your. I have to see something here. Um, I wanted to see. Remember, like every time it needs to be like taken from the perspective of what's happening on the moment. Again, there is not one way of seeing this. It like depends what happening really like onto the whole journey, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm watching here and so yeah, weight is fluctuating up, down and up. Um Measurements. I mean, measurements are still down, maintaining, so like, it's not really changing much on aside from the weight.
No, it is not. No.
Yeah. So now I think you did a diet break, and now you back to now you still 1600, right? You're still not.
Yeah, and it's going great because I've changed jobs and I have a structure now. So
Mhm.
I work 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and I go sport on Tuesday and Wednesday, and on in the weekend. I really can manage that. But
Okay, so that's only
sometimes,
sometimes when you have hot flashes, it's like, remember, it's a season of life menopause.
yeah,
It's like saying puberty, right? And then
yeah,
like you become an adult, and it's a season of life. You're gonna get to those things anyway. And the way you manage it is like a toolbox. It's like you have stuff that you can do. It's like remember 80/20, right? Like 80% of the time you have food that is high in volume, fruits, vegetable first, protein second, then you have some good healthy carbs, those kind of stuff. And then like 20% you eat the food that you want. Uh, you want to be use fillers before those meals that you know that it's gonna happen, like in the night maybe, right? Like you're gonna have a couple of glass of water, like I'm doing now. Then you have your meals, whether it's clean or not clean, and then you have some more glass of water. Like you want to use fillers, right? You
yeah,
want to be going back and thinking about buffer and trigger food, right? A glass of wine for somebody is a buffer food. That means like you take away the hunger for hours. Some other people, you get a glass of wine, you get the whole bottle. Same thing with peanut butter. Peanut butter can be a buffer food or a trigger food. You have one spoon. For some is enough for you not be hungry. For some other
yeah.
people, peanut butter is gonna be more hunger creating, and you have to eat the whole jar. And obviously, that's a calorie thing. It's not about good or bad thing. There are tricks you can do, like buying, using the peanut butter example, buying PB2, right? Or PB powder, which is like a peanut butter powder, which is 80% less calorie and less fat. And you're going to put some almond milk in there, and you're going to create a food which fills your brain because you like it. It's part of your junk food, if you will. But yet it's
Okay.
something that is getting a much less calorie, right? Or, of course, as I pointed out several times inside our group here. When you go inside here and you really want to be learning, I just made a
Yeah,
recipe recently. I'm gonna post this one as well. You're gonna be learning how to eat, and again, this is accessible to everybody. I really don't know why more people don't use this. It's like you have to learn how to cook this way. Like
yeah,
this is in a way, it's like what most people would consider bad food, but it is only it's not, because it's like, look at that. One muffin is, I don't know, it's like what is the calorie count? One muffin 80, 18 gram
that's
protein, 175, right? It's like that's a
nothing.
very good way to eat. This is called Jennifer when she did it. She's like, how to make with a hair fryer, right? I just made chicken nuggets the other day with a hair fryer. I'm gonna post the recipe. Um, how to make like some version of marsala chicken, right? It's like 75 gram of protein, 500 something calories. If you get in a restaurant, it's gonna be 2,000 calories, because simply
Yeah,
because they use more butter, they're gonna put instead of 70 gram of 80 gram of rice, they're gonna put more food. They're gonna put. You also want to be using wild rice. This is much more of a healthy version of rice, which doesn't elevate your insulin, your glycemic load, therefore your insulin, right? As you see that you don't see them in here, but the black one is wild
mm-hmm.
rice. Yeah. Um, then there is that stage is almost like saying that's kind of like the next stage. First is like 80/20 rules. Then you go into a more so trigger and buffer food. You need to understand what you are more susceptible to, because those that they say I eat healthy but I cannot lose fat, cannot lose weight. Must be my age or my hormones. Yeah, what do? I keep eating nuts. What the fuck? Hell, nuts is like one of the most highly loaded calorie dense food.
Yes,
Okay, but even if you ate celery the whole day or popcorn the whole day, it's like even though they're healthier version of food, is still healthy food times by 20, 30, like so you need to know what is acceptable. You should eat food that you can eat, but you don't make you eat the whole thing all the time, right? That's the second layer. So 80-20, that always cook healthy, always cook tasty, but high in volume. Okay? Again, it's like there is so many style of recipe, right? This is high in volume. This is you do crespel or pancakes. This is a mousse. You can freeze this, and you can make it more hard to eat. This is this is kind of like a freeze yogurt, Greek yogurt thing. Yeah, it has like I don't know, a couple of things of regular chocolate on top. You can also use cocoa powder if you want. I mean, eat like that all the time, and you're not gonna feel like you're ever in a diet. And
Yeah.
then the next part is the last thing. It's like a pyramid is on top. It's like which that's what all the weight loss industry want you to believe. There are healthier type of food. It's like there is wild rice is better than regular rice. There is goat cheese is better than regular cheese. There is certain version of carbs that my colleague sells, which is like I didn't make it public now. I'm using it, but I was testing first. It doesn't elevate your insulin for real. So those are like almost a carbohydrate 1.0 and like 2.0. It's like you can actually eat pasta, bread, and all that stuff. You can eat it without really thinking about it. You still have to go on you still have to like the quantity matter first, right? Remember, quantity matter first. On the bottom of the pyramid, it's like, remember, if you want your dessert, eat it. 20% of it, eat it out of 80. And also remember, it's always a calorie thing. So it's like if you are in term of always a calorie thing in term of like you were doing something for a week, you can, and if you undo everything on the weekend, this is what people don't realize. It's like sometimes they're like always the same, and it's like, oh, I've been good during the week. And then I say, what does your weekend look like? Well, I went out to eat like 3 times. You just undo your calorie deficit. There is nothing wrong with it. Do you have anything going on in your blood? No, I don't. But I'm 40 years old. Yeah, but still, if you don't
Yeah.
have anything going on in your blood, you're not insulin resistant, you're not thyroid deficient, you're not, I mean, chances are it's something else, right? It's like, and this is what it is. Usually it comes down to this. I have to post one thing that I think I created a reel. It's like, what are the 5 things that you or whatever that people do that really those are the things why they don't lose weight and one thing is that thing it's like not understanding your body thinks in weeks, not in days. That's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing, eating too healthy is another thing because you eat too healthy but too much. The other thing is skipping meals or really thinking there is a magical time for eating, and so you don't eat before but you eat after and you eat too much. And now I don't haven't. Yeah. The other thing is bad and good thinking of food, meaning like thinking bad food exists will make you only avoid that food to eat something else, and you eat too much of it because it's something that is orthorexic again with the food. But hopefully this gives you some insights. But understand this is
Yeah.
normal that you have. It's something like it's a season of life, and you just need to cope at your best with it. I
Okay.
have time for one more. Anybody want to share? Marcela, Claudia, and this new lady as well. If you want to share, feel free to unmute. Um, Go ahead, Claudia. We got
Hi.
time for one more.
Um, this is, I think, so I've got a lot of fears, so this is maybe normal for some people, but I think this is one of them, one that matters to me most because it affects me most, I would say. And that is a fear about trust and communication, especially when it comes to um, severe things, for example, in health. I don't want to explain the whole full story from the beginning, but it's I'm right now in a situation that I don't have, like, for example, a medical person who I'm trusting in. And for the others to understand that is like, if I have a medical problem, I have nobody to go to. And the fear is at that level that I would rather cope with effects or things that are going wrong instead of going somewhere, because I'm fearing that I will not be treated in a way that I can cope with. Maybe that's hard to understand, but as far as I can tell, when I was very young, I was never ill, never. I didn't skip one day in school my whole school time till the grade of 13, so until the last year. And in the last year, I got very ill. And in the beginning, it was like I had problems, and I was talking to friends about that, and they were like, "Oh, well, she's a girl, and well, if things like that happen, that's a girly thing, and just eat more or eat less or eat different or whatever." And then it got more severe, and I had real problems. I tend to go to people who had like medical background and talk to them, and they were like, "Yeah, but you're a young girl, what's your problem?" And do just stuff that is normal, it will go away, it's just something, it's a phase. And everybody made me believe that it's nothing, and that everything I was experiencing was just not real. So it took me about 10 months until I really go to a medic, showing them that I really had problems. I was in pain, I had problems breathing, I had problems to get up the stairs in school, and they were acting like I would be pretending. They were like, "Oh, well, you are getting a little bit overweight the last months. Yeah, that's the problem. So don't think about it, it will go away." And I remember that was after the last class, when in the last year you will have a holiday for 1 week. You're going somewhere before the last exams with a group of people from school. And we were going skiing, and I was a pretty good skier when I was younger. And we drove there by bus, and we came back. And it was a very long drive, and I had pain, like really pain in my legs and my arms. I had problems to breathe after. And 1 week later, in the morning, I couldn't get up from my bed anymore. So I just told my mom, "I'm sorry, I can't get up to school because I cannot get out of the bed." That was a time when my parents brought me to hospital. And that was the first time that somebody was believing me, because I had problems to sit there and not lay down. And it needed to be that amount of problem that they took me for real. So after that, they started to examine me, and they started to find out where the problem was, and it was kind of severe. And they came up twice within the first 2 weeks with wanting to make major, I don't know the English word, operation, something like that. And the first time they found that I was not like in the best shape to do it. And the second time they found out, oh, that's the wrong papers we got. That's from some other patient.
Yeah.
So they literally just had close to killed me twice. And the best about it was that nobody would speak to me, because at that point I was just 18. So that's the like level when you're getting to an adult. And they thought it's better that my parents would speak to me, and my parents didn't speak to me either, because they didn't want to, if I don't know the right English words, they didn't want to stress me or something like that. So I was there, I was not informed, I didn't know how to go on. And well,
Yeah, on a nutshell, you basically describing that what we talked multiple times about, the fact that much like myself, now you had a doctor that you trusted and he retired, and now from whatever happened to you as an experience, now you have a tough time trusting, right? Because of something, yeah, of course, like you got close to somebody really hurting you potentially and in your life in the past, you obviously don't trust that. In our call, there is like I think I told you several times, right? Like I'm so proud of all your journey, like you're doing leaps in terms of mindset, also you're doing leaps in terms of everything else. There is a lot more work to do, and I told you like that's why we have sometimes we also had Massimo in there, which I believe that if you want more help from him, and if you, I would say like we have multiple people in the team because we want to have more perspective of somebody be able to see. And Massimo in that stage is somebody that goes a lot more into the mindset and fear portion of that as well. But my opinion, my take was, and I said to you is like, I truly think that until you don't need to go to the doctor. I mean, if you have nothing, and now remember last time we talked, and I said when you used to faint and when you used to have all this, these issues, then in my opinion, you needed to go because we have to rule out any bad stuff, and also, and I said potentially could be because you are also, your metabolism needs a very long time of reverse dieting because you might really need like, eating less and doing all that output that was problematic, and that was turned to be the case because like as soon as now you feel much better, these episodes are happening less and less. So if you don't need it, is one of those times that is like potentially you can, you know, uh, stop. How do you say? You can, I don't know, delay fearing that, delaying that fear, right? Facing that fear. But at some point, I always say, like, if the harm is more better than the good, you're gonna need to do it. And again, like, I don't know if I can help you with it. I don't know if you need somebody help to help you with it, but it comes down that you can keep telling the story also to yourself and to other people. But at the end of the day, the only time is the action. Like, and again, doesn't I don't know if it needs to start from you going to a somebody else that's potentially like close to that person. I don't know, but you need to get to that stage because it might be sometime that you hopefully not that you really need some testing getting down and you cannot. That's as fearful as anything else, right? It's like for me that I'm going on a cable cart and I hope that thing and I scared that things breaks and I'm gonna fall down and die is the same kind of fear. You don't see it, you might not see it this way, but it's the same kind of because it's like most people watching this and it's like, okay, this is something really shameful that happened to you. I hear this, I see these stories now all the time. Some people get in a hospital and they get attached a wrong leg, and I hear this before. So it's like it's something that you see. It's not like something that is like, oh no, you're crazy for thinking that. But on the same way, it's something that happened to you that's not supposed to happen, but that doesn't mean like it's gonna happen again necessarily, right? And it's like it's the same way like me. It's like going on a cable car. One cable car fell down in Italy not so long ago, but it doesn't mean like it's gonna happen all the time. Like you need to face it at some point, right? But you can choose when to face it and how, because like it's your right. It's like but it's something that you might need to go there if you need, because usually happens when you get to the point that it's like, okay, this is too much. You realize something that goes on, like you realize, for example, when I broke a teeth here, right? Right? It was an emergency. I didn't like to go to the dentist, but I went. Not that I'm not really scared of dentists, but it's like when something you have so urgent something happening, to then you go because it's like you realize that it's almost like a something goes on. It's like I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway because not do it. I know it's gonna create more problems. So I know it's hard. It's not an easy stuff to do, but I'm gonna really feel like this is kind of like where I would start. I see a bunch of people coming in right now. I don't know why, because honestly, it's almost time that it's over. But you can see definitely the replay. It was advertised for 8:45, so I don't know if it's something that I know. Lamis, you told me that you're gonna be coming in
No.
late for your job, but you can see the replay, Lamis. We talked a lot of things as well, some examples before that you shared. But anyway, ladies, if you have anything else for me, comment in the replay or message me personally. We're gonna try to do some more Q&As as well another time. But again, watch this replay because it's gonna be very much enlightening when it comes to my personal opinion how to fear, face fear. And again, it's never easy because otherwise you wouldn't be afraid of something. But try because like sometimes it's worth a shot of living a better life or allowing yourself to live more things than just be there. But again, thank you for the share. Astrid, Claudia, Davida, thank you so much because I know it's getting vulnerable and it's hard, but it's quite important because, and again, whoever is judging you for doing something, remember, they are always watching you from behind in front, never from, never from a better place. Saying somebody that does really better than you, they wouldn't have time to waste just judging somebody for their fear, their insecurity, or something like that. But I hope this was helpful. And if you like these things, come to more of these things, or at least watch the replay and comment there. And again, all your check-ins are coming up. But again, let us know, me and the team, if you need help. Coach Jerry here. I wish you all an amazing night and talk to you soon. Have an amazing, amazing day. Bye bye.